Did you know that embracing your deepest fears could be the key to unlocking your greatest personal growth? It's easy to think that fear is something to avoid, something that holds us back. But what if I told you that the very things you run from are the doors to the strongest version of yourself? The reality is, those fears are not walls meant to stop you. They are gateways to transformation, waiting for you to step through. We all carry within us a part that we rarely acknowledge, a darker side that we push away in fear or discomfort. This is what many call the shadow self. It's the part of you that contains your repressed emotions, your hidden desires, and the aspects of your personality you don't want to confront. The shadow isn't inherently bad. It's just the part of you that remains in the dark, unexamined. And here's the truth. It's also the key to overcoming your fears. By learning to recognize, accept, and embrace this shadow, you can unlock a deeper understanding of yourself, one that helps you not only face your fears, but use them to grow. Fear is something we all deal with in different forms. For some, it's the fear of failure. What if you put yourself out there and it doesn't work? For others, it's the fear of rejection. What if you're not accepted for who you truly are? Maybe it's fear of the unknown, that vast uncertainty that makes you feel small and vulnerable. Whatever the specific fear may be, it holds us back, keeping us in a loop of avoidance. We resist those situations that bring the fear to light, because acknowledging them would mean acknowledging the parts of ourselves that we'd rather not face, the shadow aspects we've buried deep. And this is where the problem lies. By avoiding our fears, by resisting our shadow, we give it power. The more we deny it, the more it controls us. But what happens when we stop running? What happens when we decide to turn and face that shadow, that fear? The first thing you'll notice is that fear doesn't look the same up close. It's not as all-consuming or impossible to deal with as it seemed from a distance. Fear is a reflection of your inner self, your insecurities, your doubts, your hidden beliefs. And here's where the power lies. When you recognize and embrace these parts of yourself, fear loses its grip on you. The shadow and fear are intertwined, and by bringing the shadow into the light, you transform that fear into something entirely different, into power, into strength, into clarity. You begin to see that your fears are not there to hold you back, but to show you where you need to grow, where you need to evolve. They're guiding you toward the lessons you need to learn. I want to share a personal story with you. I remember a time when I was absolutely paralyzed by fear. The fear of failing. It consumed me. Every step forward felt like it could be the one that led to everything falling apart. I told myself that if I failed, it would destroy everything I had worked for. And so I didn't take that step. I held myself back, trapped by my own fear. But one day, something changed. I started to ask myself, what was I really afraid of? What was hiding in my shadow? And then it hit me. It wasn't failure that I was scared of. It was being vulnerable. It was the fear of being seen as imperfect. I realized that part of me had been pushing this fear down for so long that it had become a massive barrier, stopping me from taking any risks. Once I accepted that this fear was a part of me, once I embraced that shadow, I began to see things differently. Failure wasn't an enemy. It was just a possibility, and not one that should keep me from moving forward. In that moment, I took the leap, and I grew in ways I never thought possible. Facing my shadow gave me the strength to embrace not only my fears, but my potential. And that's the secret. The moment you stop fearing your shadow is the moment you start unlocking your true power. Fear is not meant to be avoided, nor is the shadow self something to run from. Instead, they are guides, pointing us toward the areas in our lives where we can become stronger. By acknowledging and embracing our shadow, we take away its power to control us. We reclaim that power for ourselves, and we use it to grow, to transform, and to become the person we were meant to be. The journey of facing your fears is not an easy one, but it is necessary if you want to experience real growth. Your shadow holds the parts of you that are waiting to be understood, waiting to be integrated. It's where your greatest strengths lie, hidden beneath the surface. And when you choose to confront that part of yourself, when you look at fear straight in the eye, you begin to see that it's not as terrifying as you thought. In fact, it's the catalyst for your evolution. So, ask yourself, what fears have you been running from? What aspects of your shadow are you afraid to confront? And what would happen if you stopped running and started embracing them instead? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about this journey of facing fears together. And if you're ready for more personal development insights, I've got another video lined up for you. Take the next step in your journey of growth, and let's continue to explore how we can turn fear into empowerment. When you decide to confront your fears, you're not just facing the things that scare you. You're facing yourself, your insecurities, your doubts, your past traumas. You're coming face to face with the parts of your personality that you've long buried in the depths of your shadow. And this process isn't about getting rid of those parts of you. It's about acknowledging them, understanding them, and ultimately integrating them into who you are. Think about it. The people who seem fearless, who seem to have it all figured out, they're not devoid of fear. They've just learned how to work with their shadow. They've learned how to embrace the parts of themselves that are uncomfortable, the parts that others might hide. This is where true strength comes from. When you accept your shadow, you stop hiding from yourself. You become whole. And in that wholeness, you find the courage to face anything life throws at you. We live in a society that often tells us to be positive, to push aside negativity, and to always strive for light. But in doing so, we neglect the importance of balance. We can't live in the light if we don't also acknowledge the darkness. The shadow is not something to fear. It's a natural part of being human. Everyone has one. And the more we resist it, the more control it has over us. But when we learn to accept and embrace it, we reclaim our power. We become more grounded, more resilient, and more capable of handling life's challenges. One of the most powerful ways to work with your shadow is through self-reflection. Start asking yourself the tough questions. What are you really afraid of? What parts of yourself do you feel ashamed of? What patterns or habits keep showing up in your life that you'd rather ignore? These questions will lead you to your shadow. And once you start acknowledging those hidden parts of yourself, you'll begin to see how they've been affecting your life all along. You'll start to see the ways in which your fear has been holding you back. And you'll begin to understand that it doesn't have to be this way. Now, this process isn't something that happens overnight. It takes time, patience, and a willingness to be vulnerable with yourself. But as you go deeper, as you start to integrate your shadow, you'll notice something profound. The things that once terrified you no longer hold the same power. You'll begin to feel a sense of liberation, a sense of peace. The fear that once controlled you will start to fade, replaced by a newfound sense of strength and clarity. And that's when you'll realize that the journey of facing your shadow is not about eliminating fear. It's about transforming it. I want to challenge you right now. Take a moment to think about a fear that's been holding you back. What is it? How has it been controlling your actions, your decisions, your life? Now imagine what would happen if you stopped resisting that fear and instead embraced it. How would that change your life? What new possibilities would open up for you? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's create a space where we can support each other in this journey of self-discovery and growth. And if you're ready to dive even deeper, watch my next video, where we'll explore more tools and techniques for personal development and mastering your mind. Remember, facing your shadow is not about erasing fear. It's about learning to live in harmony with it. And through that harmony, finding your true strength. Your fears don't define you. Your shadow doesn't control you. But only you can make the choice to face them, to embrace them, and to rise stronger. Let's continue this journey together.